Efforts by governments to prop up the value of chosen goods have already revealed their jagged edges. Similar thorns prick when laws set floors beneath earnings. This should spark no surprise. Earnings, after all, are just prices by another name. The quirk of language that dubs labor's worth differently from other costs clouds understanding, veiling the shared rules that steer them all. Debates over pay often swirl with passion and slant, sidelining the clearest truths. Many who'd scoff at the idea of prosperity blooming from forced price hikes, or who'd warn that such meddling might bruise the very trades it aims to bolster, still champion wage floors with fervor, casting dissenters as callous, heedless of the cracks in their stance. At its gentlest, a wage floor is a frail shield against meager pay, its benefits outpacing its barbs only when its reach stays humble. Stretch it wide, covering more workers, lifting their take higher, and the scales tip fast toward harm over help. Consider a rule barring pay below $50 for a week's toil. Anyone not worth that sum to an employer finds no place. Forbidding lesser offers doesn't conjure value. It simply locks out those whose skills or chances fetch less, robbing them of modest contributions and the community of their slight but real aid. Low pay gives way to none, a loss with little gain to balance it. One rare carve-out exists. When a clutch of workers earns beneath their true market due, perhaps in odd corners where rivalry stumbles. Yet even there, collective bargaining could mend this with less rigidity and fewer ripples than a blunt law. Some reckon that jacking up pay in one trade lets it charge more, passing the load to buyers. But that dodge falters. Higher tags might scare off customers to cheaper wares or trim purchases, leaving some workers jobless while others pocket more. If prices hold, the weakest players fold instead, shrinking output another way. Either path breeds idleness. Voices rise, bold and brisk. If a trade can't survive without skimping on pay, let it fade. This skips the fallout. Buyers lose goods, workers lose roles, and those cast out face worse options than before. Their old pay, thin as it was, topped other paths they'd have taken. Banishing that trade shoves them down rungs they'd shunned, flooding rival work with seekers, dragging those wages lower. The upshot? More hands idle. Then comes the nod of aid for those sidelined by the wage rule. Set relief at $30 against a $50 floor, and a worker barred from earning $40 gets propped at $30 to sit still. Society misses their output. They lose the dignity of even a lean self-reliance. Push relief to $50, and the idle match the employed. No spur to strive. Every aid level turns work into a chase for the gap between toil's reward and handouts, dulling effort's edge. Work-based aid shifts the snag, paying more than markets bear for often dubious tasks, part wage, part veiled gift, subsidizing. Their old roles outright might have spared the tangle. Aid's ripples matter when weighing wage floors or their hikes. This isn't to say pay can't climb. It's to mark the folly of pinning hopes on edicts, the clumsiest, costliest route. What splits reformers from skeptics isn't kindness but haste. All crave widespread ease. The crux is how to get there. Wealth can't be split beyond what's wrought, nor can labor reap past what it sows. The surest lift comes from sharpening. Output. More tools in hands, cleverer methods, tighter stewardship, keener workers, richer learning. As each yields more, the community's hoard swells, and so does their worth to those who pay. True gains spring from making, not mandating. The myth of union might. The notion that worker collectives can broadly and lastingly hoist pay for all has ballooned beyond reason. This puffery stems from missing the anchor. Output sets pay's course. Ages ago, wages here towered over those in lands where collectives flexed stronger, proof piling high that yield, not banners, builds wealth. Yet this bedrock gets brushed off by chorus leaders and echoers chasing forward-thinking clout. It doesn't lean on bosses being soft-hearted saints, but on their sharp-eyed chase for gain. If a worker's worth outstrips their ask, why wouldn't a hirer pounce, choosing $3 in profit over letting a rival snag $5? This tug keeps pay inching toward its true mark. Collectives aren't useless. Their core strength lies in locking in fair value for their ranks. Markets don't hum flawlessly. Workers might miss their worth. Bosses their chance. Alone, a worker's leverage wilts. A misstep risks their all, while a hirer's blunder just dents one line in a ledger. Together, setting a clear rate can steady the scales. But the line blurs easily. Backed by lopsided rules binding only hirers, collectives often overreach, chasing perks beyond reason, sowing short-sighted chaos. When they peg pay above worth, jobs thin. Holding that line demands muscle, capping ranks with steep gates, tight quotas or brute exclusion, even of kin from other crews. Standoffs make it plainest. A calm halt can nudge a stingy boss to see reason, if replacements balk at the old rate. But when pickets block willing hands, or new hires, from stepping in, the fight turns on peers, not bosses. Those ready to work at the spurned rate face, worse elsewhere, or they'd have gone. Barring them props up privilege with force, not fairness. Scorn for crossers often misses the mark. If they're thugs or fakes, or just props to scare the old crew back cheap, ire fits. But if they're steady seekers taking a steady rate, they're shoved aside to pad the striker's perch. A perch held only by looming threats. Fevered thinking spawns shaky claims that workers everywhere are underpaid, as if markets chronically lowball all wares, or that one crew's raise mysteriously lifts all. Truth flips it. If a band strong-arms a fat wage, it gouges others, community included. Picture a simple hamlet with 5 trades: growers, shopkeepers, weavers, diggers, haulers. Each starts even, their take matching their make, pegged at a baseline of 100. Then collectives flex. Growers stall at 100, shopkeepers nudge to 110, weavers hit 120, diggers 130, haulers 140. Average pay climbs 20%. If each trade's goods rise to match, living costs jump 20% too. Growers, money unchanged, buy less. Shopkeepers, up 10, still lag. Weavers at 120 barely hold even. Only diggers and haulers gain, but less than boasts suggest. That's if jobs hold. Without extra coin flooding in, such leaps spark idleness. Most where pay soars wildest, though demands stretch and work's weave shift the load. Even winners, averaging their idle with their busy, often lose ground. Pain outstrips gain when workless days darken fuller purses. Aid won't mend it. Drawn from workers' cuts, it shrinks their take. Enough. Aid breeds more idleness. Past. Collectives curbed wild asks when they footed their own relief. Now taxpayers bear it, restraint fades. Some shun work entirely, others toil just for the sliver past aid. Output shrinks, all grow poorer. Organize everyone, some cry. But not all trades bend to collectives. Conditions vary, and power never evens out. Numbers, need, leverage differ. Even if all spiked pay alike, costs would chase, nulling the gain. Who pays? Short bursts might nick bosses' margins. Say, a rail line barred from hiking fares, its investors locked in steel and ties, taking slim returns over none. But they'll shun fresh stakes there, letting rust creep in, or chase better yields afar. Soon, weak firms fold, idleness spreads, pay and profits reset to lure work back. All lose. Labor's brief share of a shrunk pie buys less. Collectives can't, over time and for all, hike real pay. That mirage leans on mistaking output's boom, fueled by tools and ingenuity, for their doing, and on eyeing only the keeper's quick wins, not the wider fate of jobs, yield, and buying power. Might they even cap pay's rise? If they're net, dense output, yes. They've honed skills and guarded health in spots, once lifting worth by curbing overstrain. But lately, swollen sway and misplaced cheers tilt them astray. Shorter spans, 60 hours to 50, then 40, once balanced life and yield. Now, demands for 35 defy loss. Rigid roles, output bans, slow paces, tech blocks, and forced hires bloat costs and sap flow, all built on a myth of fixed tasks when work begets work. By dimming output, they've trimmed real pay's climb. That's not their fate, but their choice. Time remains to pivot.